How you doing, everyone? Welcome back. Well, I think I'm going to tell you a little bit of a personal story in this video. Now, granted, it is related to my usual content, but I wasn't even directly involved. I just happened to be in the room when it happened. Right? My wife gets a phone call yesterday, right? And what's funny is that she normally doesn't get calls like this. I am much more likely to get calls like this, right? Because I have always been politically active. And, I've used to be registered as a Republican. I actually used to be involved with the Republican Party until you see what they've become. So I can't associate with them anymore, right? My wife, I don't know if she has ever been registered with a party. I know that she currently is not. Neither am I. We're both registered with no party. And she gets a phone call yesterday. Now, I don't understand why they would have, why these particular individuals would have called her. But it was somebody on behalf of Ted Cruz, right? It wasn't even a robocall. It was somebody who was calling on behalf of Ted Cruz, which kind of is a little bit weird because we live in Iowa. Why is Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas, calling someone who lives in Iowa, right? It's not like he's running for president. I mean, unless he is, which he probably will in 2028. But who knows? Who knows? He didn't in 24, so maybe he won't. Maybe he thinks his time is come and gone. But at any rate, this woman calls my wife, right? My wife decides to put it on speaker so that I can hear what's going on, right? And she's going down this whole list of, stuff. I wasn't really listening a whole lot, but I already kind of knew the gist of it because I've received calls like that, not necessarily from this particular organization or anything, but I know how the spiel goes. I've heard those calls, and my wife just lets this woman keep talking, right? Go through the whole spiel, being polite. Now, I'm at a point in my life where I probably would have hung up, right? Rather than just hear it out. My wife, I'm kind of surprised that she didn't do exactly that, to be completely honest with you, right? Because she is nicer than I am. I mean, that's just true, all right? That's just a factual statement. Not that I'm not a nice guy, but she is a nicer person than I am. She is more personable than I am. Actually, I would like for her to come on camera and tell the story herself, but what's funny is she is more conversational and personable than I am. But she's shy about going on camera, right? Which, I don't know, I would love for her to come and tell the story herself, but she doesn't want to do that, and that's fine. I'm not gonna push her, right? If she doesn't want to do it, all right, fine. Anyway, there she is, listening to this lady's spiel from, somebody on behalf of Ted Cruz, and the lady ends by asking, so can Senator Cruz and President Trump count on you for a donation of $75 or $100? Yep, I knew it was coming. I knew it. right? What I didn't expect, right? Because, like I said, my wife is the nice one of the two of us. Not that I'm not a nice guy, but she is nicer. She's more polite than I am. I mean, she has more patience with people like that than I do, I think. But when this lady asks for a donation, my wife responds with, I may not have this verbatim. Forgive me if I don't get the quote exactly right. I mean, I have no documentation of what the actual quote was, right? So I'm going from memory. She was nicer about it than I would have been, though. Absolutely not. He is the worst president that we have ever had in this country's history, and he is a fascist. Something like that. Now, me personally, I would have been a little bit less nice about that. I'd have been like, what the fuck, lady? My grandfather fought against people like that just so that we wouldn't have to have it here. You know, and that's more where I would have been. In fact, I'm kind of hoping I get one of those calls now. So, hey, if you're one of those callers, my phone number is, yeah, right, like I'm going to give you my number. Sure. I'm not going to give you my number, but call me. Let's talk. So, anyway, I thought she handled that quite well. Definitely better than I would have. Rather amusing in my opinion. But I would have handled it just a little bit differently. I think she handled it she handled it beautifully, fantastically. I would have done it different. But different doesn't make it wrong, right? Anyway, like I said, just kind of an amusing little anecdote. I'll catch y'all next time.